So good afternoon, everyone. We are so excited to have you join us for our first Bangor High School Sustainability Symposium. Many of you know me, I'm Michelle Benoit, I'm a science teacher here at Bangor High School. My co-host is Nancy Watson, Bangor High School librarian. Just a few nuts and bolts before we begin. We're gathering today on Zoom in our webinar mode, which means that when you enter, you are automatically muted, but we will plan to unmute you a little bit later on so you can interact with our speaker and offer comments and questions. All the sessions today are going to be recorded, so they'll be available for later viewing. We'd also like to offer some thanks. And first thanks is to all of our awesome presenters today. Everyone has offered such a unique perspective on the theme of sustainability. And so we're really grateful to them for sharing their time and their expertise with us. We also want to send a special shout out to our IT department. Matt Stanchfield has been wonderful in getting us set up so we can run this webinar smoothly. This symposium has been made possible in part by funding from a grant from the Maine Arts Commission, an independent state agency that's supported by the National Endowment for the Arts, as well as the Bangor School Department. And finally, I want to thank our Bangor High School community, students, teachers, administrators who have supported us as we've pulled together this symposium, and also for joining us as we explore this path of sustainability. Our speaker in this session is Kayla Rush with the Friends of Katahdin Woods and Waters. And I've worked with Kayla in the past, and I know you're going to enjoy this presentation. So Kayla, welcome.
Thank you. So how's it looking? Can everyone see my screen okay?
Yep.
Good. Okay. So as you heard, my name's Kayla Rush. I'm the education coordinator for Friends of Katahdin Woods and Waters. And I run something called the Katahdin Learning Project, which is a program of Friends of Katahdin Woods and Waters. And we really work not only in the Katahdin region and with the monument, Katahdin Woods and Waters National Monument, but also with projects all around the state, and we work with schools. So I do want to make this pretty interactive though, and I'm not sure how many of these you've gone through, but I always like to start by first of all saying I'm here to guide you through a process that's about you. So this is not going to be so much about me, although you'll hear bits and pieces about what I do and what our organization does. What about you? So if I had you out on the land right now, and I kind of like you to envision yourself out on the land throughout this whole thing. We'll have a few short videos, and as we're watching those, think about yourself being there, what that would feel like. The first thing I'm going to do though is get us moving a little bit, because if I had you out on the land, if you were part of a trail crew or a school group, we would get up and have a stretch circle together. The reason stretch circles are so important is because it helps us become a team. We start to work together, we get our bodies moving, we get our muscles prepared, and this is the same for your mind, believe it or not. Although when I taught high school, I definitely heard a number of students go, oh no, not this again. But they always appreciated it at the end, and they always came and thanked after they graduated. They were thankful for that. So what I'm going to do is give us 30 seconds. And there's some fun music in here because some of you might want to throw in a dance move. So let's take 30 seconds, get up and do a couple of stretches. I'll show you a few of my favorites, and we'll start now. Awesome. Thanks, you guys. I know that can be kind of funny, and it's like, what is this lady doing to us? But trust me, it's important. You got to move your body. You got to stay strong. And now we feel a bit more of a team, right? And I'm so curious who did a dance move out there. So maybe during the Q&A I can ask that. So really the objectives for this is I want you to become more familiar with sustainability. I think you've been having wonderful discussions about this already, and you're probably very familiar with it. My big objective for you is to come out of this with a plan on how you can play a role in that. I'm going to give you some examples, some ideas, but then you're going to get a couple of minutes here and there to really take some time and dig into that and connect your ideas, your passions to your plan. This is about you. So how are you going to play a role in sustainability? Because if you're not passionate about it, you know, someone can force you down a certain path, and you might do it because you're a hard worker and you do those things well. But sometimes that passion piece and learning more about what drives you is what's really going to propel you down the path. And I'm going to try to not have too many trail puns, but they do tend to pop out every now and then. So I just want to tell you really quickly about place-based learning and kind of what it is. And it goes hand in hand with place-based education. It's really what it sounds like, learning in your place. So this is happening anywhere, in your backyard, behind your school, in your school building. And it could be with technology or without technology. It's really about the power of your place and how you're using it. So you think about some of these things, you know, I'll give you an example about volunteerism. In place-based education, we talk about that as service learning projects. And when I'm going to look down at my notes here because I got some numbers for you. And one example of place-based learning, the service learning, it includes volunteerism. And what I wanted to share with you is that there's 1.3 million people in Maine. Now imagine if every single person in Maine volunteered 1 hour a month. That's it, just 1 hour a month. Now think about how much that would look like over 1 year. So there's 1.3 million people in Maine. They volunteer 1 hour per month. I'm hoping, and you guys check me on this and come back to me at Q&A, I'm hoping that's 15.6 million volunteer hours each year. If I'm right, you're going to let me know at the end, right? Or if I'm wrong, how about that? So that's a large, large number. That's a lot of volunteer hours that can go into a community. And when we think about place-based service learning or place-based learning, learning in your place, it's really where it all starts. And volunteerism is such a great way to do that. But sustainability connects so well to this because you start to think about how our work in our place really grows those numbers. It makes it a more sustainable place. It's a more vital place. There's more ownership and security, and people are invested in what they're doing. I'll tell you a quick little story about the rate of vandalism in one of our northern towns. And we had a school-wide service learning project in that town. And since that happened, there hasn't been one piece of vandalism reported. So maybe it's happened and it hasn't been reported, but not one incident has happened since students were involved in rehabbing their town. So some of the things they were working in the park, they were working at the library, they were painting the rec center. It was students that said, here's some things I saw in the community, and I addressed it, and I took care of it, and I worked on it with my friends as a week-long project, and we worked in partnership with other groups. I don't want to see vandalism in my town. And I can't tell you that's going to last forever. I feel like it needs to be continuing to make sure that we're involving students every single year. But since that one time, that 1 week, we haven't had vandalism. So there's just something to be said about investing in your community. I get so excited about these things, and I don't want to talk too long about any one thing because I want to give you time to dig into some of this. But I just want to tell you a little bit about our organization. We're a nonprofit organization. We support the monument. So that's Katahdin Woods and Waters National Monument. If you're not familiar with that, the monument was designated in 2016. And so it's roughly 87,000 acres. And it's really about protecting the natural beauty, providing accessibility to people from all areas, and helping visitors enjoy this. But mostly for me, it's about getting students out onto the land and having them become more familiar with their public lands, not only at Katahdin Woods and Waters, but all around the state, and understanding that they can be a part of that process. They can be involved in so many different ways. That's why I love taking student groups out into the monument. We've done water testing and interpretive hikes and snow skiing or snowshoeing and cross-country skiing, and students come back and they bring their families back because they feel like they've had an adventure. They're invested in protecting the vitality of these lands and in making sure that it can be sustainable over the next 100, 200 years. So, and I will tell you later, you can find more information about Friends on the internet. I'm sure you all know how to Google very well, but there's lots of information on there I don't have time to cover today. But I'll just tell you that the reason Katahdin Woods and Waters National Monument was designated a monument is so much more than just this, but there is a rich history here. There's a rich history in indigenous history. One of the things I brought to show you, we were out with an Ancestral Lands Trail crew this summer, and I was able to be with a part of the group that got to work with an archaeologist on a dig there. And we did almost immediately on the branch of or on the east branch of the Penobscot, we're able to find an actual artifact. This is a scraper, probably from the Penobscot tribe. And you can see where the flint knapping took place. I know it's harder to see on video, but this would have been very similar to an arrowhead, except that it was used like this, held here, and you would have scraped an animal hide with it. It's still very sharp. I don't run my finger on there. In fact, the archaeologist said that, don't run your finger along there. So there's a rich history that we want to protect in there. There's also opportunity in there. We want to train kids new job skills. We want them to be able to build their resume. We want to foster future stewards of this land, but also stewards of their community. So you can gain some experiences in the monument, on trail crews, as a volunteer, and then you can take those back to your community. You can take those down and follow the path that you're passionate about. But it's all about that building of your resume and also making it built up in a way that would support communities, support sustainability too. So we want to help others and support others in protecting those cultural resources that I just talked about and preserving the land and recognizing, I've been talking about this power of place, and place is where you are. So it's where you're standing. Your place may change, but always just being grounded in that and looking around you and taking the time to appreciate that. So, okay. So I know with videos, we're gonna watch about 3 minutes of this video, and sound does not come through great on these. You don't need, there's only a bit of music behind it. It's really the images that I wanted to capture for you, and we're not gonna watch the whole thing, but about 3 minutes. And while you're watching this, what I want you to do in front of you is jot down maybe 1 or 2 things. What do you see that you would want to explore? How can you learn more about that? So there's a few things that are really going to stick out. You may not know the names of these places. That's okay. Just use some descriptive language and we'll see where it takes us. At the end, come out with 1 or 2 things. And maybe it's not something you want to explore further, but maybe it's something that you saw made you feel a certain way. So think about that too. Here we go.
For 5 years, the Natural Resources Council of Maine has worked with the people of the Katahdin region and supporters nationwide to establish a new national monument along the East Branch of the Penobscot. Learn more about NRCM's work at nrcm.org. For 5 years, the Natural Resources Council of Maine has worked with the people of the Katahdin.
There. Okay. So I just wanted to give you a little, you can find that link and I'll share it with your teachers too. There's not much longer. There's only about a minute longer left in it. But I did want to tell you that the Katahdin Learning Project is a piece of Friends of Katahdin Woods and Waters. And the images you just saw, that's really what we're wanting to take the youth of Maine out to see and to experience. One of my favorite places in the monument is this picture right here of Haskell Rock. And I didn't quite get it until I had just a really amazing experience out there with a trail crew this last summer. And now every time I see the image, I just, that experience connects me so much to that place now. And that's exactly what we're talking about when we're saying the power of place-based learning, is these experiences, these very rich, meaningful experiences that you can have will connect you to the places that you call home. And that's just what I want you to think about as we start to dig a little bit more into sustainability. And I do want to do a time check though. I'm at 12:09 and Nancy, can you tell me when to stop at? Is it 12:20?
Yes, we have until 12:30. And what we're doing right now, Kayla, is we're promoting everyone to panelists so that they can interact and talk with you from now on.
Oh, great. Awesome. So I'm just curious if at this point, is there anyone that has a question right now? And feel free to interrupt me. I know there's some, you can hand on here. I'll go through a few more of these things. The other piece I really wanted to talk to you about was the International Dark Sky Sanctuary designation. This happened earlier in the year. And what this video is, this is about a 50-second video, just talking a little bit about the designation of this and what that means about the ecology of this area, about the sustainability of these dark skies. And I'll show it to you. And then what I'm hoping, maybe we can come back together after this and you can chat with me a little bit more. So about 50 seconds. So I'm going to stop sharing for just a minute and kind of open things back up. I know there's a chat option. I want to be sure. Oh, sorry. Let's see. What kinds of things have you done to help preserve the environment surrounding the Katahdin area, and how long? Oh, okay. I have been, this is an easy one. I've been education coordinator for Friends since 2018. I started with the Katahdin Learning Project in 2016. So that was something we started through the National Park Foundation. And then when Friends took it over in 2018, I became full-time. So previous to that, I was part-time Katahdin Learning Project, part-time teacher, or full-time teacher. Yeah, there's no part-time teachers, right? And then 2018, I went full-time away from teaching and into this different type of teaching, I should say. And I will say one of the things I miss the most is having a chance to kind of get to know students and form a bond with them and talk with them. I still get some of that on trail crews, but not as much as I used to in the classroom. Any questions I know, what kinds of things have you done to help preserve the environment? So I would say some of the water quality testing that we do has helped us learn a lot about how we can prevent pollution in waters in these areas in the future, what might need to be done to remedy the problems that do exist. We also, of course, I think trail crews are always a big piece of protecting the environment because we're making an area where people can stay on a trail. They know how to get to a certain place. So this is a large part of Leave No Trace ethics, or LNT. And it's something we teach all of our trail crews. But that building trails is a big piece of protecting the environment. I think also just the designation of this land, turning it into a protected space where the environment, not much can happen in a National Park Service unit, which is what a national monument is. It's a unit of the National Park Service. Not much can happen in there without going through the proper protocols. And sometimes we like to call it red tape. But, it's protected now. It's a safe place, and it protects the environment, and it's going to continue to be protected for years to come. So I think there's probably a number of things we've done with, not only soil testing and water quality, as I mentioned, but then teaching students. I really believe involving the youth is the answer to sustainability. So when we teach others, when we bring others to the land and just let them experience it, that's a huge piece of the puzzle. This is what sustainability is all about. We cannot become sustainable. We cannot sustain this monument or protect the land or the environment in the bigger picture without the youth becoming involved. You guys you're the answer. You should feel really good about that too, actually. It's exciting. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's great. So Nancy or Miss Watson?
We've kind of dropped the Miss and Mrs. today. I don't even know if kids know we have first names, right?
Right. Yeah, that's a great question. I'm wondering, our visitation was up a lot this year. I'm wondering if any of you were a part of that. Visitation was up, oh boy. I wish I had, the superintendent of the national park is Tim Hudson, and he has those numbers so ingrained in his head. But I want to say it was up 33% this year. So every year it's growing. It's nothing like Acadia, and it's never going to be like Acadia National Park. I mean, partially, thank goodness for that. But I was
going to say, thank goodness. I live in Ellsworth, and it's a lot of traffic.
Right. Yeah. So it's really about, it's such a peaceful place. And although we see growth and we see a lot more coming to the monument, we're up in the 20,000, 30,000 range right now. And that's year round. So it's 87,000 acres also. There's a lot of space there to space out. We were okay getting through a pandemic with so much space.
If students wanted to get involved in the trail crews, Kayla, is that something that's open to students outside of the monument immediate area? Or is it something that I'm looking for, if there are volunteer efforts that they can partake in? If you're from Bangor, it's a short drive, it's just an hour north. And just looking for some ways that they may be able to jump in and learn about the monument
Yeah, we definitely have volunteer opportunities available. Our trail crews, so our paid trail crews right now, because we're a young organization and just getting started, we partner with Friends of Baxter. So we have a crew that works both in the monument and in Baxter, and it is really local. So it's really the local Katahdin region kids. As we continue to grow, our hope is that we have trail crews for all. That anybody that applies will, it doesn't matter where they're from. It's just more of a learning process for us. We'd hate to really open the doors and expand without having put the time and effort in to learn how to make it the most quality experience possible.
Absolutely. And yeah, there'd be a lot of logistics involved when you start, expanding. So,
Yeah. But yes, the volunteer experiences, as we kind of switch a bit with National Park Service, we'll have a lot more opportunities coming up. So what we know is the VIP program, which I think I know a member here. The VIP program is Volunteers in Parks, and that is a National Park Service program where it doesn't matter what age you are. My son was a VIP as of the age of 7. So you can be a VIP, and those hours actually will add up in the National Park Service system. And if you were to ever apply for a National Park Service job, they would go in and see how many hours you had. So it actually boosts your resume just for them. But then that's also something you can add to your personal resume after you graduate and trying to get jobs.
that's good. I didn't realize that they tracked it in the National Park Service. That's wonderful. I was thinking, you've spoken so eloquently about the power of place, and that place being where you are. I know when I was growing up, I grew up in Southern Connecticut, so a very different place than where I am now. We don't always, or I know I didn't really value the place where I was. You're sometimes more eager to get away from the place where you are. So how do you recommend that? How do we kind of change the way we look at the place where we are? So we're kind of seeing it, we have to kind of look at it differently. Is this making sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So
I think because most of us have probably experienced that. And, I think especially in high school, it's a big time of change. And we're looking around us going, this isn't where I'm choosing to be. I'm out of here. And I think it's because we don't have a lot of youth choice. I didn't feel like I had wonderful parents, but I didn't feel like I had a choice in where we were or what I was doing. And I think that's where volunteerism really plays a big, or service learning, or, going to your teachers. You guys, I know you have some teachers here right now, but I'm telling you, if you are passionate about something, you head into a teacher and you say, I really want to know more about this, because you have every right to go down a path, especially these healthy paths of understanding your home and your place. And the more invested you become in that, the more connected you're going to feel to your place. So right now, I can imagine so many of you, just like we heard, are thinking, this isn't what I want to do. This isn't where I want to be. But ask yourself, and one of the things I wanted you to do today is write down what you're passionate about. Write down a few things that you would love to really investigate more. And then in your mind, so maybe it's sports. I mean, for me, it's thrift stores and getting kids outdoors. And I volunteer for the local school and the animal shelter because they go hand in hand. And it's a group of people that I love. I've really learned so much from them. I had no idea that there were all these different ways to be involved in a community. And so find what you're passionate about. Someone probably can't tell you that. You're going to have to find that, and then kind of go down that road, investigate a bit more. If you're passionate about sports, maybe you could be a mentor on a younger team, or help with a group in town. If it's passionate about books, there's libraries that love volunteers. And I know things look a little different right now with COVID and everything, but as time goes by, we'll find that these things are coming back, and we're coming back to our normal in some sense. And you want to really dig in, find those things, and then reach out and make a plan. So we heard a lot about making a plan for voting. Make a plan for your passion, for your life, for your place. How do you want to be involved? You get to choose that. That's the most exciting part.
That's awesome. And I sometimes think of, I've driven around Bangor sometimes telling myself, imagine, Michelle, that you're a tourist and you're seeing Bangor for the first time. What do you notice? And that has sometimes opened my eyes to things that, the positive aspects that maybe I had ignored before or had been downplayed. So I try to bring those fresh eyes to a place as well.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun to pretend you're a tourist in your own town too.
It is. I think that's a great idea. And that was another question I had for these students. Start to think about what you want to see in your community. You can go around with these fresh eyes and see all, there's a lot to see in Bangor, which is really exciting, but in Maine in general. And then you can start to think, well, what do I want to change? What do we want here? And who would I talk to about that? What's my next step in being involved in something like that? Because that's how everything's come to be. Nobody went around telling everyone else how to build Bangor up into the city it is. It was someone's idea, and they went around and got some help and made it happen. You can too.
And I can say that the Bangor is still a very grassroots community where one person putting out a call to clean up the Kenduskeag stream path brought 40 volunteers. And that developed into a whole volunteer organization, Friends of the Lower Kenduskeag Stream, or called Folks. They began partnering with the city and they got lighting put in, they got some police patrols. So one person putting out a call saw a need that here's this neglected stream path that people want to use, but we really can't. And then it just kind of built on itself. So Bangor is still has that possibility. And I know that people of all levels, when a young person comes and shows the interest, I think people pay attention because they want you to succeed and they want to help if they can.
Yeah. I would love for every student in here, if you get a chance, write down a few things that you'd love to see in your community. Write down a couple things you're passionate about. Find out how those connect and go back to your teachers and some of the other students and talk about those things. That's just the very first start of saying, hey, what do you think of this? That's all it takes.
Kayla, do you live up close to the monument, or are you in our local area?
No, I live right in Sherman, so I'm right next to Grindstone Road. That would take you into the monument.
Nice.
Yeah. So I can be hop, skip, and a jump away.
And if we want to find out, I know the monument and the Friends of Katahdin Winds and Waters offers a lot of programs throughout the year. I think I've done snowshoeing and I've done cross-country skiing. Do we just check your website on that, or what's the best way to kind of keep track of that in case people want to visit the monument?
Yeah, definitely go to friendsofkww.org is the website. We have a Facebook page that's pretty active. And then Katahdin Learning Project also has a separate page that's not as active, especially less now that, we have this kind of a transition in how we're doing things.
Sure.
But I would say that between the Facebook page and the website, there's also a number on the website you can call anytime. There's trip reports that I highly recommend. So if you're actually looking to make a visit, those trip reports on the website are very helpful.
Wonderful, thank you. Let me just check in the chat. Are there any questions? And folks, you are unmuted, so you can kind of pop in and ask a question. I do have to say I'm a huge fan of the monument. I was thrilled to go up several weeks ago and take one of the interpretive hikes with Eric and Elaine Hendrickson, visit Haskell Rock. And a very cool thing, because I'm a rock nerd, was looking at this huge conglomerate rock, and you may know the one that I mean, that is supposed to be evidence for where the continents collided. And where else could you see this? And I didn't know it existed. And it was just kind of awe-inspiring to kind of time travel back to when that may have occurred. and then here it is right in front of you, and you can touch it. I think I've showed my students one of the photos, but there's so much to explore, whatever your interest is in that place, and what you can discover there. So I do encourage everyone, if you get the chance, to definitely visit and explore. And I find I carry some of that place back with me when I come back to my place here. And so it's been a wonderful association with the monument. So thank you.
Yes, those videos, and both of those videos really showed amazing footage. If they don't kind of perk your interest in driving up there, I don't know what would, but it's the next best thing to being there. So thank you for adding those in.
Yeah, well, I'm glad. And thank you for having me today. This has been really exciting to hear about what you're doing, and I hope we stay in touch. And please, to you students out there on here today, reach out. And like I said, I do encourage you to find your passion. And maybe it's not the monument, but whatever it is, look into it and find someone to help you if you get stuck somewhere, okay?
Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Kayla. This has been an absolute delight.
Thank you.
We'll be in
Have a great
touch.
day.
Take care now.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.